Thank you very much, Joelle, for this introduction, and I'm honored to be here today to bring you a little bit closer to the topics, as Joelle already mentioned to you. So I have prepared a little presentation for you, so I hope you can see my screen right now. So as Joelle already said, I'm covering the integrity session of this presentation today. And just to bring you a little bit closer to what actually entails the IIHF integrity program, we do have 4 pillars within the program. So we have a green player representing everything around the topic of anti-doping. We have a red one that stands for competition manipulation. Our violet player stands for harassment and abuse. And the orange one kind of concludes everything with the topic of ethics. And altogether, they built our overarching logo on the right bottom corner, which represents the IIHF Together for Integrity, because all 4 pillars are overlapping and represent integrity as a whole. So I'm going to start off with a quick video to kind of bring you a little bit closer to actually the topic of integrity.
There's many forms of abuse.
Abuse, harassment can happen.
Time to stand up and make a difference is now.
It's important to stay true to your own integrity, to the values that you believe in.
If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Don't be the one that stands by and lets it happen. I've lived it, I've seen it, and enough is enough.
The very heart of our sport is at stake.
And now it is more crucial than ever to keep asking the questions.
Let's protect the sport we love. Let's protect ice hockey.
We need to speak out. We need to have the difficult conversations, and we need to make a difference now.
You aren't alone. The IIHF is out there to support you.
So today we are going to dive into our violet pillar, abuse and harassment, the most, because with the all other pillars you are already most familiar with. So there are different risk situations specific to ice hockey, which I just quickly run through with you. So a lack of education of what actually abuse and harassment is there. But of course, I hope that after this presentation you will be familiar with the pillar of abuse and harassment. Then ice hockey in general has a high tolerance to physical violence and injuries on ice. And the culture of ice hockey so far has rather been scandal avoiding than having the tough conversations and concerns and issues around abuse and harassment. Then let's admit it, nobody likes to lose, but ice hockey is well known for its win at all costs mentality. And the natural setting of ice hockey as a team sport includes showering together, overnight stays, changing rooms, which all are connected to potential risks of abuse and harassment.
Yeah, it's definitely been maybe the best way to describe it is a roller coaster, from coming out publicly as John Doe to the world, and coming and dealing with the overwhelming support and everyone reaching out, to really trying to focus on myself and begin the healing journey. And you know, I'm very proud of where I am today.
You know, for me, I've known Kyle for the better part of 10 years. We've been teammates, trained together back when we were younger, and once Kyle came forward with this story, it hit me very hard because of how close I've been with him. I've been his teammate, right? I've been on the bus with him, and to see that he had been going through all of that during those times was tough.
I'm not the only one that's been through something like this abuse. And once you break down those walls, it's amazing what people will share with you. And it's amazing to know that I'm not alone. And I think that's one thing, if I was going to leave anything with you guys, it's that you're not alone either. And that there's always somebody there, and somebody that wants to help and somebody that's willing to help.
It was actually pretty amazing hearing that he was our assistant coach, because last year I was dealing with some of my baggage from playing junior hockey and maybe some traumatic experiences that happened during that time. What really kick-started me in that transformation and growth was hearing Kyle's story, and I thought that was an extremely honorable thing for him to do.
You know, I think the biggest message that I can give to those people is by hiding something, by keeping it a secret, by keeping it inside, whether it's happened to you or whether you've seen it happen, it's only going to lead to bigger and worse problems. You know, whether it's, you know, it might be you this time, but it might be your little brother or your little sister next time. And I think that's the way that we have to look at it, because there was an individual that helped me come forward, an extremely brave individual, and he's the one that gave me the courage to come forward. If I would have come forward sooner, I could have possibly stopped it from happening to him. And at no point should anybody ever have to deal with that. So for me, it's, you know, we got to keep furthering those conversations, keep moving forward, but not forget about the past, not turn our back on the past, because then we'll run into the same mistakes or the same mistakes but different in the future. We're seeing all the stories come out of how people have been affected in the past. And with those stories, we're able to make a genuine, meaningful change. Without this happening, without these tough conversations on all levels, we wouldn't see the change. And that's also now leading to the education side of it. It's getting together in a group and discussing and sitting down with survivors of all abuses, because there isn't one kind of abuse. You know, anything can be abuse, from verbal to physical to sexual. The list goes on and on. The fact that we're having these conversations really excites me for the future of hockey, for more than hockey, for our society and our world, because without having these tough conversations, we wouldn't have change.
So as you see, unfortunately, ice hockey has come across abuse and harassment cases, as just outlined by Kyle Beach in the video we just saw, and this is just one example of a case that actually happened within our sport. So Kyle's story is a perfect example of a sexual harassment, sexual abuse case, which actually can occur whether verbal, non-verbal or physical, and it's basically when your consent is manipulated. So it's really important for us to spread to the world, to spread to the ice hockey community, the message that you decide where your limits are. So it's okay when the limits of your friend, of your teammate are somewhere else, but you decide with what you are okay. And of course, if anyone is in immediate danger, the police must be informed as soon as possible. Fat cow, whore, stupid bitch. Are you sponsored by Obesitas? If you don't do it, I will not select you for the upcoming lineup. I was so scared. He said he would jump off a bridge if I ever told somebody. He said I was special. As long as I did exactly as he said, I would make it to the national team. She's just like that, they said. That's just her way of coaching. The fear won't make me compete better. So what all those statements have in common is the quotation marks. So this means they were statements and they are very closely linked to physical abuse and verbal abuse. So basically this is a non-physical tactics to harm, control, manipulate or intimidate a person by yelling, threatening or, as I said, humiliation as well. And let's not forget, we live in an online world. So messages get across the world even faster than they used to in the past, and they can reach billions of people within seconds. Psychological abuse and verbal abuse, they have serious and long-lasting effects on a person's mental health. And as we all know, mental health are serious issues and can decrease the performance on ice as well, be it as an official or as an athlete. So I have a question for you guys. Just think about it. A new player, a new official joins the team. Can you be sanctioned for forcing this person to drink alcohol or run down the street naked? Yes, of course you can and you will be sanctioned, because this is a hazing ritual, which is a form of induction that involved subjecting a person. And it's most of the time harmful and most often a dangerous practice. And here again, you decide what is okay for you. So if it is okay for your friend to run down the street naked, let her do it. But if it doesn't feel okay for you, it's okay to raise your voice and just to say, look, this is where my border is and I'm not gonna step over this, and you have to respect that. The same way as you have to respect if someone else doesn't feel comfortable doing something that feels okay for you. Unfortunately, hazing rituals are common and are unfortunately often seen in ice hockey. So this is why it deserves to be highlighted in this way and in the setting we have today as well. Of course, those were just a few components of abuse and harassment that I brought a little bit closer to you, because those were the ones that we see and we feel in ice hockey as more common components. But I also like to highlight a few others. I'm just going to run quickly through it. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me after as well. So, of course, there's the physical abuse as well. So this is basically any forced activity, such as kicking, biting, just actually something that really has a physical aspect to it. And as we all know, we are all operating on an international platform, so we do come across different cultures, different habits. So racism and discrimination is a topic that needs to be addressed and that will be addressed with the whole ice hockey family, and it also is a component of abuse and harassment. Then for neglect, I'm going to give you an example. So let's say a player has a really bad injury, or an official faces a really bad injury, and this person is being treated right there on spot with no sanitation, with not the right tools in hand. This is a case of neglect, because in this case, this person would have needed to go to the hospital to be treated in the right environment with sanitized products and with the right medication as well. So this is a failure to provide minimum level of care. What's also important to understand is that people can be sanctioned if they actually did not do the action, but they authorized someone else to do it, or they are covering something up just because maybe their best friend did it, their partner did it, and they are just not honest with what they know and what they've seen. If someone encourages someone to do actually the action, you will be sanctioned for it as well, because you are the one that actually instructed this person to go do the action. And I'm going to circle back to the online world we live in right now, a violation may occur in person, remotely, or online. So now I kind of gave you the background of the different components of abuse and harassment, but now I'd like to guide you a little bit through the initiatives that we at the IIHF have in place and that we are working on right now. So at the beginning of every season, we conduct a risk assessment where we kind of choose, or based on this risk assessment, where we're going to go and do education in person. And those educations are geared toward athletes, coaches, and staff personnel, but we're going to educate them all separately. And the education is targeted for anti-doping, competition manipulation, abuse and harassment, and ethics. So we educate on all 4 integrity pillars. So this season, the risk assessment came back and told us that we should target all our U18 championships. So we do have 8 championships where we actually go there, do the education in person. But others, championship that we cannot go there in person, they will be educated online through either the WADA Adel education or through the IIHF lab. And also there's a simple reason for it, it's the language. So there is a language barrier, and those tools, they allow to have the education done in their native language, because currently the WADA Adel tool counts over 19 different languages. Of course, there will also be in-person education during the World Junior Championships, during the World Women's and the World Women's 1A, where actually someone from our team will travel there and do the education in person. We also try to educate during the camps. So we do have the development camps and the high performance camps where we actually go there in person as well, just to give them a little bit a more familiar approach to the education as well. Then there is the due diligence process in place as well, targeting all medical supervisors and the IIHF game officials. So first of all, you will be asked to sign a consent form, just that you are okay that a background check will be performed on you. We have partnered with a company called Herod Global Investigative Solutions, who conduct those background checks for us. So after we receive the consent forms, there are basically two phases. So first, the background check through A, your national system, and B, through the dark web. So all publicly available information on all medical supervisors and all IIHF game officials assigned to our events. Then we will receive a report back, which basically tells us which person needs a little bit more attention, where we have to guide our time to and just dig a little bit deeper to understand why they have come back red flagged. But here it's very important to understand that this doesn't mean something bad. It doesn't always mean something bad. So this is simply a matter to point us in the right direction, to just see a little bit further and to maybe ask a few questions. But we also have the opportunity to actually conduct a voice analytics on you. So this is basically a voice analytics automated questionnaire. So this person will be asked 4 very basic questions, and then based on the answer, it will then pop up as red flag or not. And then again, this just points us in the right direction to actually allocate our time to see where we should dig a little bit deeper or not. But again, this should not harm, or this should not scare anyone. It's just a simple step in place to just ensure that ice hockey is a safe sport and that everyone within ice hockey is protected and can feel safe. Then everyone assigned to IIHF events has to go through a 90-minute mandatory respect workshop. So for all persons IIHF assigned to IIHF events, this also includes council members. So it is used across the IIHF and just creating standards and consistent expectations for all of us as part of the IIHF family. So in this workshop actually allows you to stop and start at your own pace to make sure that you really understand everything that is being educated to you, and you will be going through a quiz at the end as well, just to make sure that you really understood everything that the program is telling you. Then since November, the IIHF has an M&A Integrity Officer program in place since November 2022. And basically, we have created single point of contacts within each M&A. And just to increase the integrity education and awareness raising as well. And basically, our aim is to create integrity experts for ice hockey in each single M&A. So this person is in charge of liaising with the relevant national bodies and governments, such as the NATO or the National Olympic Committees, and they are basically facilitating investigations of integrity violations. So this is an ongoing project, and we are still at the beginning, but this is always being in front of us, and we do our best to really move forward with this project as well. So right now we have targeted our more established M&As, and we are in the process of really getting it done for all 83 M&As that we have here at the IIHF as well. Then we do have the IIHF medical supervisors that also act as safeguarding facilitators during an event. We have just come to the conclusion that the medical supervisors are a trusted person within the championship, and that people may feel comfortable reporting to them just to have a personal touch to it. So basically, the medical supervisors are available to players, team support personnel and other persons involved in the championships, and they're asked to have a victims-led approach to taking reports on incidents. So whenever a report comes up and they approach the medical supervisor, they just simply point them in the right direction to report to the IIHF, to report to the anonymous reporting mechanism in place, which I will tell you more about later on. And then after this, they will call either myself or Ashley, and then we will, together with the chairperson assigned to this event, we will just guide them and take it from there as well. What's important as well is that the victim is always put first. And here what's really important, and I say it again, is that everyone here decides what is okay for them. And if it doesn't feel okay, that's fine, and everyone has to respect that. So the medical supervisors, in this case, they're asked to show empathy and listen, and they should always stay calm. And of course, they should ask questions if needed, just to get everything they can from the victim that actually reported. And they should encourage them to either anonymous report or assist in reporting if they are willing to report with the name. And Ashley or myself, we should always be informed as soon as possible. And what is important is to never promise anything. So whenever someone comes up to the medical supervisors, they are not allowed to promise anything, because the outcome, no one knows the outcome of this as well. And this is also something very important for you. So if you are being approached, never promise anything, because we can simply not assure that this will come true or not. So how does this all look like? So during a championship, if an issue arises, so if someone has been approached, let's say the medical supervisor has been approached, they first need to make sure if the victim is willing to report openly or anonymously. So let's say the victim is okay with reporting openly, then they just guide them, they channel them to the right reporting mechanism, which I will go on a little bit later on as well. And then they can also offer to fill out the IIHF report form together with the victim. And of course, if there is an immediate danger, the police must be informed as soon as possible. But also here, they can either call Ashley or myself or involve the local organizing committee on site as well. And then basically, Ashley and myself, we determine the next steps with the chairperson on site as well. So if the victim is only willing to report anonymously, they can refer them to the IIHF reporting mechanism. So basically they scan the QR code on this little poster you see down there, but I have a bigger picture later on as well. And this reporting mechanism allows them to report anonymously, and then we just begin with the investigation in-house as well. Of course, we always encourage everyone to report openly, because it just allows us to go back to them to ask for evidence. If we have follow-up questions, it just allows us to actually get them as well. So once we receive a report like this, we, of course, report to the police if there is an immediate danger and if we are obligated to do so based on the legislative framework. But let's say it's not. We then first have to decide if the matter is international or not. So if it is international, we take on the case file and we do the first initial investigation within IIHF integrity. With this case file, including the investigation, will then be provided to an independent ethics board, who then decides if they want to refer the case to the IIHF disciplinary board, which is independent as well. And what's important to mention here is that appeals can only be done to CAS. But let's say the report we receive is actually on a national basis. So then we just refer the case to our M&A integrity officer. So the program I just introduced to you earlier on. So this single point of contact from the M&A, which is mentioned in, or just the country that the report is connected to. But we can always step in. If you feel like there is not enough done, it's going too slow, we always have, let's say, the power to step in and take it over. And in this case, the report has initially been filed to the IIHF. So this is why we also need a report back from the M&A, just stating those are the steps we have done, and this is the outcome. So now you heard me a lot talking about all the report, if you hear something, if you see something, say something, but how can you actually raise your voice? So we do have a few channels in place for you. So the poster on your right side is actually the QR code I told you earlier. So you can simply scan this code and it directs you to the anonymous reporting mechanism in place. And this poster is actually mandated to be in every single locker room at every single IIHF event. And we are also looking to provide this poster in the toilets as well. But we also have an email address in place, so you can always email reports to integrity@ihfoffice.com. Or if you feel more confident to reporting to a third party, you can always report to the IOC hotline as well. Or if the matter is anti-doping related, there is a WADA Speak Up webpage as well. If you prefer the old style version, no worries, we have this in place for you as well. You can always call the IIHF with the phone number that is indicated on this slide, or you can simply pick up a pen and paper, write everything down, and send it by mail to the IIHF headquarters as well. So this concludes my presentation on a few integrity initiatives we have in-house. Should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me under this email address in front of you, and I will do my best to come back to you as soon as possible, because it's very important that everyone understands what the IIHF integrity stands for. So thank you very much, Joelle, and I give it back to you.